I'd like to start off by thanking our sponsor for financing the parts for this Frankenstein monster.
Happy Halloween, folks! It's that time of year again. The times of ghouls, ghosts, goblins, and all the treats you could ever want. The time where people change up their profile pictures and names mere days before the event starts. Spoopy season. Now with a video like this, released on exactly Halloween, you'd expect me to cover a few animated specials and talk about what makes them Halloween classics. And if you thought I'd be doing the same for this year, then you'd be wrong.
Like, what would you be covering then, Mr. Toons?
Well, viewer, because Halloween's the time for media with tons of gore and spooky elements, and because I couldn't come up with a better idea, for this year I'll be covering one of the best superhero movies to come out in recent years, DC's The Suicide Squad. It's amazing how what was once a point of massive criticism is starting to become a legitimately big contender in superhero movies. Think about it. Just a few years ago, they weren't getting any favors critically with the stuff they were pushing out back then, but somehow with the recent release of Shazam, Joker, and arguably Birds of Prey, DC seems to be cleaning up their act and putting out great content. And that winning streak seems to be going strong with the most recent remake of a pretty bland and heavily edited original movie that's more known for being laughed at than anything, now being an R-rated comedy made by the mind that brought you Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. And seeing how this is a movie featuring a squad of people, I found it the best option to form my own for this video. Joining me are 6 other content creators to dive deep into different scenes of this movie and overall what makes it so special.
Oh, finally, I get to be in a Geek Tunes video.
Yeah, did I say 6? I meant 5. This is the Suicide Squad collab. Enjoy!
Here comes a new challenger. You must crush them.
Oh, here goes. Yeah, homie out here making big boy moves with his first ever collab. Hey yo, how am I doing? You guys think I'm funny yet?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But yeah, for those who are wondering, hey yo, who the fuck is this nigga? What's up? I'm Worst Taj, aka Young Burger Patty, aka the Booty Eating Bandit. And when Geek hit me up and asked me to join his collab and talk about my favorite scene in the Suicide Squad movie, I eagerly hit him up with a response of,
okay.
Hey yo, for real though, I'm glad I joined, because there's actually some stuff I do want to say about the movie. It also helps out this movie is good, like, really good. And I kind of expected for this movie to be good, because 1, literally anything would be better than the first movie, and 2, we got James Gunn directing, plus the fact that WB gave the man full creative control, and also his history of other great superhero movies, so this seemed like a pretty much in the bag thing. But what makes the Suicide Squad an interesting case is how James Gunn really runs with the premise of the film, and gets the audience invested in how this stuff's gonna work, and the overall main point of the movie, and essentially the intro of the film. And once he gets you to fuck with the intro of the movie, the rest is just a non-stop blast. And let me tell you something, I messed with the intro so hard that it's high-key one of my favorite parts about the movie. So yeah, just sit back and chill while I explain one of the best intros to a movie I've seen in a minute.
Bitch, I'm a bird, bitch, I'm a bird. I don't say yo, I just say bitch, I'm a bird, bitch, I'm a bird, bitch, I'm a bird, bitch, I'm a bird, go.
So yeah, the movie starts off with us meeting 2 characters, Savant, the newest member to be drafted in the squad, and Amanda Waller, the overall warden and creator of the group. She then tells him what the whole point of the squad is, and how they need to do a retrieval mission for the US to get some information, and if they don't follow orders, the bomb implanted in their heads will blow the fuck up. She then sends him off to Rick Flag, the commanding officer of the mission, and then Rick Flag shows him off to the rest of the team. It consists of TDK, Mongal, Javelin, Captain Boomerang, the Weasel, Harley Quinn, and Pete Davidson. Now, I know this can come off as kind of rushed, however, I think it works due to the factor of when you think about it, the whole concept of the Suicide Squad is a pretty simple thing to explain, so the fact that they just get it out of the way really quick is a really good thing. So after that, they all head aboard on a plane and start making their way toward their destination. There's this really nice and funny scene where everyone gets to do a little bit of small talk, and we get to see everyone's character for a little bit. They make it over to the landing point, which is above the ocean, and they all dive out of the plane and start swimming towards the shore. Well, everyone except Weasel. No one knew he couldn't swim. Weasel dies.
Did anyone check on whether Weasel could swim?
Well, I mean, hey, Weasel could even talk anyway, and this was an admittedly very funny joke. I'm pretty sure everyone else is gonna make it out through the movie completely and totally fine. What is Pete Davidson doing?
The one who called you!
So, yeah. Them niggas got put on their shirt. Well, except for Rick Flag and Harley Quinn. They just got kidnapped. But the others, yeah, they're murked. What's really wild is that it looks like Amanda Waller expected this type of shit to happen. So then we'll reveal that she dropped off a whole different team on the other side of the island. The name of the movie pops up, there's a quirky montage with an old song, and yeah, this intro goes hard. There's actually so much to like talk about the intro of the movie. Like how it starts off so serious and just like so by the numbers, and then it gets all crazy and funny by like the end parts. Like for real, anything that can go wrong is going wrong right now, and it should be like some big scary suspenseful scene, but there are just moments of comedy that are just so fucking funny and make you laugh. Case in point, I love the TDK scene, or how like the savant head exploding scene is just played up for laughs. I also very much enjoyed the song that was playing after the title screen popped up. Also the part with all the workers collecting their bet money on the people who thought they were gonna die is really good. Not only is it morbidly funny, it also just emphasizes the fact that no one really cares about these people at all. They're just like expendable to them. And yo, it also helps that the song is low-key a banger. And look, I know that there might be some people who don't really mess with the intro. They could see it as just they killed all those characters in the beginning and it was kind of a cop-out and they really didn't serve any purpose to the movie. However, I kind of see it different. I think it's important that those people died because it really shows the fact that there's a high chance that the second team, a majority of the people might not really make it to the end of the movie. And I think one of the most important deaths that kind of put that mindset in me, and one that people don't really talk about, is the fact that they killed off Captain Boomerang. I mean, you can argue the other deaths were for comedic effect, but Boomer's death was different. Cause yeah, the first movie wasn't really good, but characters like Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and Captain Boomerang were essentially some of the more breakout characters of the film. Him dying sends a message to me that they aren't afraid to kill characters that we like in this movie, and that's super ballsy. I gotta give them props. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about this scene. It's really good, and honestly one of my new favorite movie intros. And trust me, it only gets better from here. This is Tosh Talks, and hey yo, I'm done my part. I'ma head out. Who's next?
Fire on 3, 2.
What are you guys doing?
We're here to save you.
So I guess it's my turn. Now with a movie like this, there's undoubtedly gonna be a lot of laughs along with it. To put it simply, it's more comedic than the regular DC flick. But as a lot of you know, I'm an action guy, and one scene in particular stood out to me. Being the halfway point of the movie with Harley's Escape, there's a lot to appreciate in this one scene alone. Looking at it the first time around, the most obvious thing to notice is that it shares a lot of the similarities with Yondu's escape scene from Guardians 2. And I can see why a person would draw that conclusion. Both are scenes that involve fast-paced action paired with an old school song, giving them both flair and a chance to stand out from the rest of the movie. However, I'd make the arguments that this is more or less James Gunn's signature style when it comes to making films such as these. But moving on to the actual scene itself, the actions are fast-paced, constantly moving, every second has bite, crunch, and impact. This really is a great example of what happens when a creator like James Gunn has full creative control, unlike other companies.
You maniac! You burned it up! Darn you! Darn you all to heck!
True thought was put into making this Margot Robbie's shining moment in this scene, and honestly I can't imagine any other actress doing the same. As much as the original movie sucks, the casting of a few people were well done, chief among them being Joe Kinnaman and especially Margot Robbie. In my eyes, she's the true cinematic Harley Quinn, accent and all. She definitely makes the scene all hers. Props all the way. What else is there to say really? This is just one perfect action scene, and there's plenty more of this movie to cover.
Hello, it's ShadeX, and today I'll be talking about a scene from the Suicide Squad for Geeks video. While I like the characters of King Shark and Polka Dot Man, I figured I'd instead talk about a character I don't like, that being Peacemaker, who is played by John Cena! Peacemaker is a great antagonist for this movie. He plays the role of a rival to Idris Elba's Bloodsport. Anyway, before I talk about the character, I have got to applaud DC for casting their first invisible actor. Jokes aside, Peacemaker is a very interesting character. John Cena does a great job portraying a jerk. Peacemaker and Bloodsport's rivalry is very interesting. They both have the same skill, that being able to use anything as a deadly weapon. The only difference is that Bloodsport uses big bullets while Peacemaker uses smaller ones. Their rivalry in this film is very funny. One of my favorite scenes is the one where Bloodsport and Peacemaker try to one-up each other with kills. But rather than talk about their rivalry for this segment, I figured I'd talk about an interesting scene that says a lot about Peacemaker Peacemaker's character. That scene in particular is the one where Rick Flag learns the truth about Project Starfish being created by America. Rick wants to show the proof to the Americans, but Peacemaker on the other hand feels the need to hide the proof to preserve America's peaceful image. You see what I did there? Pun aside, I really like the duality of these two characters. Rick Flag is a former US Army colonel who is now in charge of Task Force X. Rick Flag appears in the first Suicide Squad movie where he was just there. All I remember about him was that he dated June Moon, who later became the Enchantress. There's also this iconic line.
This is Katana. She's got my back. She can cut all you in half with one sword stroke, just like mowing the lawn.
But in all honesty, Rick Flag didn't have much character in the first film. Not one bit did I see him on screen and think, wow, he's a leader. In this film, however, he does a lot more. After the first squad dies at the start, he ends up meeting rebels at Corto Maltese. Rick Flag at the start feels a strong desire to save the island from their dictatorship. Rick is a great character in this film. When Harley is captured, that takes priority over the main goal, which is to go to Jotunheim to destroy evidence of Project Starfish. The scene where Harley escapes and sees that Rick and the rest of the squad were ready to save her is really wholesome. Anyway, the reason I'm spending a long time talking about Rick is because he is very different from Peacemaker. When he first hears the Thinker talk about the US being guilty of starting Project Starro, he doubts it. However, after hearing him out, he realizes the truth and then decides to get the files. What I find interesting about the start of this scene is the time Peacemaker walks in. When the Thinker mentions all his progress of Project Starfish being destroyed, Peacemaker calls him the real victim here. I like the line in particular where Rick mentions that he now regrets working for the military, which he did to serve his country and not to become its puppet. He has plans to share the proof of America's involvement with Project Starfish to the press. Peacemaker then decides to prevent him from doing so. It's then revealed that Amanda Waller gave Peacemaker the task of not letting the records leave Jotunheim. What adds to the intensity of the scene is that the building is about to explode. It is at this moment where Peacemaker has Rick at gunpoint that their ideologies show. Rick is disgusted by children being experimented on, and Peacemaker can't even defend it. However, his concern is how it will make America look bad and create an international incident. The line that follows says a lot about his character.
Keeping the peace is worth any price, including the life of a hero like yours, sir. So please, don't make me do this.
At that moment, his ideology is clear. He wants America to look pure in the eyes of the world and fears that this news would start a war of some sort if it got out. Rick Flag, on the other hand, wants to hold his country accountable. The rubble falls down and then a fight ensues soon after. It's really intense. Rick Flag seems to be the winner of the fight until Peacemaker manages to stab him in the heart with a piece of tile. What follows is Rick Flag's last words.
Peacemaker. What a joke.
Overall, I really like this scene. I think it's the most intense scene in the entire movie. I really love how James Gunn gave Rick Flag more character in this movie than he had in the original Suicide Squad. However, it came at the cost of him dying at the end. But hey, at least he got more screen time than Captain Boomerang. He just died at the start of the film! That really bothered me, to be honest. I would have loved Captain Boomerang to have a bigger role in this film, so his character could be improved on. Still, I do appreciate that James Gunn with this film is telling the audience that no one is safe. Not every character has plot armor. Except for Harley Quinn, that's the one exception. Anyway, that's all I have to say. This has been Shade X, and I hope you all feel nothing but good vibes.
The Suicide Squad. Not the horrible, like, 2015 one, the one that came out in 2021. Although you've probably seen this video already, so you already know that this is the version we're talking about. The Suicide Squad. What a great movie. Like, I was sort of doubting it since the last DCEU movies were The only one I find sort of decent was Shazam. But I was really impressed with what I saw with this movie. Director James Gunn really does know how to write a team of people that just don't really get along with each other, but make a great team nonetheless. And hey, it's basically Guardians of the Galaxy if it was M-rated, so you already know this movie is gonna be great. Today, Geek Tunes has brought me here, or I just dropped by myself. I don't really know the context or the lore of this video, but we'll just pretend like we don't know. So in here, I'm just going to talk about one of my favorite scenes of the movie, and that would be none other than the superheroes. Oh, wait, what? Ramen already took that? Fuck! Well, in that case, I could talk about that one fight scene between Peacemaker and... Oh, wait. Should I talk about that one too? Damn it! Well, what could I talk about? Oh yeah, that's right. The single best scene out of this entire film. Well, in my opinion, at least. And that would be the climax. Before we talk about the climax in the scene itself, I'm going to take it down a bit and talk about what happens before this scene, so it can emphasize and make my point stronger to why I think the scene is so great. So, the main character of this movie is Bloodsport, and you see in the start of the movie that he's not really that great of a person. He's pretty much a dick to his daughter, even though he wants to keep her safe. And then when Amanda Waller wants him as the leader, he basically denies her and saying that, hey, I don't know any of these people, so why should I care and why should I be the leader? But then after Amanda pretty much threatens his daughter with death, yeah, he has no other choice but to lead the second version of the Suicide Squad. At this point, you already know what happens. First Suicide Squad dies except Harley Quinn and Rick Flag, and then they captured, and then the second Suicide Squad just go in and save them. And let's just fast forward a little bit and go into the middle of the movie, aka the end of the second act. After the Thinker, they find out what Project Starfish is all about, and Rick Flag and Peacemaker have a fight, where Rick Flag dies, and then later down the line, Bloodsport quote-unquote kills Peacemaker, but that's a story for another day. But now let's go into the main attraction, the climax of the movie, where Starro the Conqueror, aka Project Starfish, breaks through the building where he was captured, with the Suicide Squad thankfully leaving unharmed. Well, except King Shark, he was almost killed, but that's besides the point. And in a shocking turn of events, Amanda Waller actually regains contact with the team, telling them to finally evacuate since all their orders and their objective, that being to destroy the lab and the records, was accomplished. The team actually listens to Waller and decide to go away, except for Bloodsport, who, while being complied to her wishes, actually denies her and wants to go fight Starro and save the world. Amanda was pretty much pissed off at him, telling him to stop, and then the other team members decide to join Bloodsport. Even with Amanda Waller pretty much threatening to kill them, they do not care, because they want to stop Starro and save the world. Which basically comes to show how much Bloodsport grew as a team leader throughout the entire story, pretty much neglecting to not do it in the start of the movie, and then pretty much denying Amanda's wishes and actually goes and attacks Starro, and pretty much motivates his team to do it as well, which comes to show that James Gunn does truly know how to write flawed, yet great leaders. Overall, I love this scene just because of how much development they decided to give Bloodsport with this scene, and truly does come to show that James Gunn really does know how to write really great characters. Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and now back to the other person that's gonna be next behind me.
We're all gonna die.
I hope so.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What's good, y'all? It is I, Kang the Conqueror. No relation to Starro the Conqueror. He's doing his own thing. Now, as we all know, the Suicide Squad has a lot of great things in it. From the action, the comedy, the unapologetic violence, the obvious fetish scenes on Margot Robbie, but most importantly, the film has heart. And King Nanoe Shark is that heart of the film. King Shark joins the other squad, you know, the one that didn't get shot up in the opening movie, along with Bloodsport, Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, and Peacekeeper. Admittedly, I didn't know much about him in the comics, and mostly knew him from various DC animated mediums, including the Flash, but we don't talk about that garbage here. And next to the Harley Quinn show version, this has got to be my favorite interpretation of the guy, y'all. I'm not joking. Sure, on the surface, King Shark seems like a simple-minded abomination of man and nature who will not hesitate to chew on any flesh that moves. But in reality, he is a sweet, wide-eyed, adorable abomination of man and nature who will not hesitate to chew on any flesh thing that moves. Not to mention, his bond with Ratcatcher 2 is adorable, and that scene where he meets with those fish things that turn out to be carnivorous themselves, you cannot lie to me and say that you didn't find that moment sweet as hell with that smile and goofy laugh. Also, shout out to Sylvester Stallone for his voice performance as King Shark. It might not be much in the dialogue department for him, but he definitely deserves some credit for voicing that adorable freaking nature. King Shark might be the deadliest thing in the squad, but he is the most lovable creature in the sea and land. Just pray that he doesn't eat you in your sleep, son.
Hello amigos, Ramen coming at ya. Before I start, I gotta thank Geek Tunes for this awesome super collab he let me into. With that being said, I'll start.
I'm a superhero! I'm a motherfucking super...
Polka Dot Man's new origin story is more tragic and allows you to feel more for the character. The origin goes, Abner, aka Polka Dot Man, had a mom who was obsessed with superheroes. Abner's mom was a scientist for Star Labs and used her research to turn her kids into superheroes. Abner was infected with an interdimensional virus that caused glowing polka dots and lumps to form under his skin. Abner is forced to expel these dots every day so the virus won't eat him alive. What makes the story more tragic is that some of Abner's siblings survived and some of them died. Being experimented on caused Abner to harbor resentment towards his mom, forcing him to use his powers for evil, until he met the Suicide Squad. The one scene that really makes you feel for the character is the iconic line at the end, "I'm a superhero." A line that had a lot of emotion behind it for both the actor and the character. David Dashmountain in an interview said he was scared and nervous to get his line out for the climax. David Dashmountain, growing up just like his character, had vitiligo, an autoimmune disorder that caused loss of pigment in polka dot shaped areas of his skin. David Dashmountain, growing up, was picked on and felt like an outcast, just like Abner. Knowing the emotional weight behind that one line was one of the reasons I love Polka Dot Man. When the time came, Polka Dot Man, aka David Dashmountain, became the hero he always wanted to be. And I think James Gunn did a great job writing Polka Dot Man. James stated that he had Dave Dashmountain in mind for the character, and I think he made the right choice. With that being said, thanks Geek, and I'm glad we can finally collab. My name is Ramen. You have a good night. R.I.P. Polka Dot Man.
And that'll be it for this Halloween. It's kinda unconventional and not really Halloween-like, but I hope you had as much fun watching it as we had making it. This video was honestly fun putting together with friends, so I hope you check some of these guys out. They're seriously underrated. With all that said, I've been Geek Tunes wishing you a happy Halloween.
Choppers! The gunfire! All my friends are dead! The noises! The explosions! The nightmares never go away!
I know what you did, Reggie. I know what you did.
No! I won't accept it! I need to eat my problems away, man!